Hi there, it's Carol with Carolbcrafts. I'm excited to share with you this adorable little shoebox gift card holder with a matching card to go along with it. Now this is project number 3 in my Dress to Impress class kit. You can get the details on how you can qualify for the class kit on my website www.carolbcrafts.com. So I'll give the supplies and dimensions as we go along so that you can make these adorable projects too. But if you like that class kit, check out my website. So this is centered around the Dress to Impress stamps, which are adorable. The little shoe and lipstick and perfume, some little roses. Happy Mother's Day. This is just an awesome little set, and it comes with a bundle. You can make a little purse, which is project number 4. I'll show you that. Project number 4, we make a little purse with these dies, and it has a matching card as well. So the dies that we'll be using today will be for the little shoes, and the little box, we'll be making that from some cardstock. Now when I saw the stamp set that had the shoes and this Life is Short by the Shoes, I knew I had to make a little shoebox, and so that's what I did. I hope you enjoy making one with me. It's pretty easy, just a little bit of scoring, and so we'll go ahead and clear this away. Well, first of all, let me tell you what you're going to need. Getting ahead of myself. So for your inks, you'll want soft suede Memento Tuxedo Black. To color our shoes, we'll want light and dark Flirty Flamingo, light and dark Petal Pink, and then Ivory. For your adhesives, you'll want your multi-purpose glue, mini glue dots, some snail, and I recommend that you use tear and tape, but if you don't have that, you can always substitute with glue. And you'll need some mini dimensionals as well. For your tools, you're going to want some scissors, and you'll take your pick tool. You'll need your scoring tool. I'll be using my scoring tool from Stampin' Up. And then of course you'll need your manual die cutting machine and some kind of stamping system. I'll be using Stamparatus. So I'll clear all this away and we'll get started with our stamping. This is your kit, and this is how it comes. Everything is usually pre-cut, well, pre-cut for you except for what you're going to be cutting with your dies that come in the bundle. And also, I'm going to have you do some scoring. I didn't pre-score for you, but it's simple enough that I think you can do it. I gave you enough to make 2 boxes, just in case you do have a learning curve. You'll actually be able to make 2 boxes with your kit if you do need to. Just you'll be able to finish one, but because you only have enough ribbon for the one ribbon, but you can always make another one. Now this is also your card. You have a little card in here that we'll be making later. So I'm going to set this aside, out of the way, everything that goes with the little card plus the ribbon so it doesn't get ink on it. Now the stamping, we're going to be using the 2 pieces of Whisper White, and like I told you, I'll give you the dimensions as we go along. Go ahead and put this away for now while we do our stamping. So the first piece of Whisper White we have is just a 1/4 sheet, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then the second one really is just for this, so it doesn't have to be exact what I have. I have 4 1/4 by 3 1/2. That's definitely bigger than you need, but more is better. So, and then we have some ribbon, which I will tell you about later on. So I'll get my Stamparatus out and my stamps. Now first we'll be doing stamping. We're going to stamp the shoes, and that's going to be on the larger piece. We need to stamp 4. You might want to stamp a few extra if you can, just so you have some in case in your coloring you kind of mess up. I usually stamp a little extra just in case I do have a mess up because yeah, it happens. So we need our little shoe stamp, and I'm just going to place that here for now and pick that up, and then make sure that stays in the corner. And where's my memento? Here we get our memento black ink out and ink up our shoe. So like I said, we only need 4 of these, but sometimes it's good to stamp more just because, you know, like I said, things happen. That one looks good. I just moved my paper over a little bit, enough to give me room for another shoe. You just don't want them too close because then you can't die cut them. That one can go there. We're just going at making adjustments as we go here. Okay, stamp this one. Okay, that gives us our 4, but I'm just gonna stamp one more, maybe a couple more. Make sure that's on the paper. And then lastly, let's see if I can get that there. And that looks good. Let me do this last one. I probably won't need them, but it's easier to stamp them now than to come back later and stamp another one because you messed up with your coloring. So we got 6, that's plenty. So I'll clear this off. Now we're going to need our shoe stamp again, so I'm not going to put it away yet. Now we're going to get our sentiment, which is going to be life is short, buy the shoes. And we're going to stamp on a piece that's 4 1/4 by 3 1/2. But like I said, it doesn't have to be that big because you're just going to stamp that one sentiment. And then we'll be die cutting it with the label die that's in the bundle. We're going to use, make sure I don't have it upside down. We're going to use our soft suede ink. Let me grab it. And press down lightly. Okay, let me just do that a little bit more lightly because I like my sentiments and things really rich stamping. I don't like half stamped images. Okay, that looks awesome. So let me clear this off. So this is ready to go on our front of our card. So we'll die cut that later. And I'm done with my Stamparatus. I forgot to tell you, as usual, I always forget something. A C block or a block similar to that size. And we're still going to use our soft suede ink. And what we're going to do now is kind of fun stamping, I think. What we're going to do is we're going to take our shoe stamp and put it on our block. And you might want to put a piece of scratch paper underneath if you don't have something you don't want to get all messy. So I'm just going to use a sheet of paper. And this is the fun part. Like, all we're going to do now is ink up our stamp really well. And we're just going to stamp, you know, you're going to alternate your stamping. But what we're doing is we're coloring, we're stamping shoes all over this. It's going to be the base of our little shoebox. So we're going to just stamp all over it. That's why I call it fun stamping. You don't have to really pay attention to what you're doing. Just stamp and stamp and stamp. All right, And if you wanted to go ahead and do the other one while you have your ink out. Now I forgot to tell you, this is 4 7/8 inches wide by 7 3/4. 4 7/8 by 7 3/4. And it is crumb cake. I am not good at this, am I? I promised I would give you the dimensions and then I don't. But eventually you'll get them. They're going to be on my blog, my website, www.carolbcrafts.com. So if you don't get them here, or if you want to check there and say, what did she use? Then you know where to go to find that. Okay, that's good enough. So clean this off. So next we're going to get our scoring tool. And I'm going to use this one here, our Stampin' Up! Scoring tool. Get it in camera for you. So I have my little cheat sheet. We're going to turn it landscape long ways this way. And we're going to score, and I'm going to use the smaller tip. We're going to score 3/8 inch. So 1, 2, 3, 3/8 inch. And then we're going to score 1 7/8 inch. And then we're going to score 5 7/8 inch. And then 7 3/8 inch. Okay, that's that. Now we're going to turn it over to the side with the print. And we're going to score 1 1/2, 1 1/2. Whoops, my score line went kind of wonky. And 3 3/8. 3 3/8. That's all the scoring that we have to do with this piece. Okay, so we're going to set that piece aside. Now for the top, we have, I had to make the top, when you make a box like this, if you make the box top exactly to the same measurements as your bottom, your top won't fit. So you have to add 1/16 of an inch to both directions. So this would be 2 and 5, let me turn it so I can read it. 2 5/8. But that would be the exact measurement, but if it's exact, it's not going to fit. So I added a 1/16. And so with this has eighths. So I go to 2 5/8, and then in between the 5/8 and the 3/4, that's the size that you want to cut. So you want 2 5/8 plus 1/16. And then when you cut it this way, it's 5 1/2 plus 1/16. So that way you have that 1/16 of an inch. If you want to get exact, it would be 2 inches and 11/16 and 5 inches and 9/16. But for me, it's easier to just say 2 5/8 plus a halfway in between the 5/8 and 3/4. Hopefully that makes sense. So for our top, we're going to start with it lengthwise. And we're going to score at 3/8 here. And flip it to the other side and score at 3/8. All right. It's important that you flip it. You don't try to do it like this, because your measurements won't work out because of that 1/16 inch. So yeah, so 3/8, other side 3/8. Now we're going to do this way, 3/8. And we're going to add 3/4. So 3/8 and then 3/4. Flip it around. 3/8 and 3/4. And that's the scoring there. So we're done with our scoring. So now we need to get our scissors. And we'll need a bone folder, which I forgot to tell you that too, of course. So here's our scissors. Let's start with this. So you can see these two long ones here that you did. I think that's like 1.5. What you want to do is you want to cut whichever side is easier for you to see the lines. You want to cut from these two long lines that we cut here, 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. We want to cut up this first line here. We're going to cut to that and then all the way to here. So cut all the way to that second line. And try to keep it as straight as you can. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. Now you want some easement here, so I'm going to make like a tiny little V on this this flap here, not on the big flap. The big flap you want straight. This little side flap is where you want to put like your little V. And you can see that's all that I'm cutting out. I'm not really cutting a big V out. I might do this one a little bit more. There. Same on the other side. You're going to cut your V out and over here. Okay, so that's what we have right now. And this needs to be straightened up a little bit. So that it looks straight. Okay, that's where we're at right now. So this side, the sides are going to fold towards the center like that. We can go ahead and score them. Now these are going to fold in, but they don't need to be quite as long as they are. So I'm just going to cut this little flap off here on the sides, that little flap that doesn't need to be there. You do want it on this one, but not on the sides. Doesn't have to be, because they just there's too much cardstock there to do what we want to do. So that's done. So now this is what we have. So we can go ahead and fold all of our creases and score them or burnish them. And then these two on the end, you're going to go ahead and burnish those. Okay, so we're ready to build our box. But before we get into the glue and all, we're just going to set that aside and do our top. Now with the top, we're going to do the same thing. On the short sides here, we're going to go to that second line. Try to keep it as straight as possible. And then we're going to kind of just do that little easement with the little bit of a V right here. It's kind of hard because this is a smaller piece. Now this time we're not going to cut these sides here. We're going to leave those long because we want them long. It gives a little bit more for it to adhere to. So we'll clear away this, get our bone folder again. And then you'll see your little valleys. You want to fold away from the little valley and burnish your score line. And these on the end, you don't want to fold those either. Just leave them long and unfolded. Just the one in the center. If you fold them, it's no big deal. It's better if you don't. But if you have creased them already, don't worry about it. Now I'm going to use glue and tear and tape. Mostly glue, but the tear and tape is going to actually go on the flaps. So this little flap here gets tear and tape. And then all 4 little flaps get tear and tape. 2 on this one and 2 on the other. And we don't take the backing off quite yet. Oops, I tore it a little bit. Be careful, don't tear it. It might be better to cut your tape rather than tear it. Something this small. Be very careful. Okay, so that's our tear and tape. Now for our, basically it's going to go together like this. Those fold in, this folds up, and that folds down. That gets the bottom of your box. We're going to put some glue on these 2 flaps right here. Don't get too close to the edge or you will have oozement. And okay, so bring those up and then bring this up here and hold that in place till that glue has a chance to set firm. And it sits pretty quickly, so we should be good. Then all you have to do is remove that tear and tape base backing, if you can, with your nail. Oh, come on. Fold that down and then push it down. That'll hold that in place while the glue continues to dry. Alright, so now this one, we're going to put glue on both of these again. Oops, I got kind of close to the edge. Put them together. Hold that in place a minute till that dries. Remove the backing with your nail if you can. If you have trouble, get your little pointy tool from your take your pick tool. And normally I don't have this much trouble. And then just push that down. That'll hold that in place while it continues to dry. Now we're basically going to do the same thing here. These are going to be our side flaps. We're going to put glue on them. And be careful not to go too crazy because these are small pieces and you do not want them to ooze. Alright, I'm going to hold that in place till it dries a little bit. And then we'll remove our tear and tape backing. And again, it just doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. Push that down and it will help keep that in place. Now we're just going to do the other side, same thing. Fold those out here. Put some glue on them, not too much. Fold them in, fold that over, hold it in place for just a second. And then when you feel like it's firm enough, you can take this, remove the backing, and push it down. Now we have our shoebox, and I actually used a shoebox to figure out how to make this, so that's how I got my idea. And then your top should fit on pretty well. It might be a little tight because mine was not about 1/16 of an inch. I didn't quite give it a full 1/16, but it goes on. But see, if I didn't give it the 1/16 of an inch on both sides, it would not, the top would not go on. All right, so we are ready to do some coloring now. We have our shoebox. We'll get our Stampin' blends and our shoes. The light and dark petal pink is for the leather. The light and dark flamingo, flirty flamingo, is for the leather outside, and then the light and dark petal pink. And be sure you don't get this ivory mixed up with your petal pink because it's so easy. Look how close they are. I'm going to set that kind of away from my petal pink so I don't get that. The ivory, the petal pink is for the inside of the leather, and then the ivory is just for the little bitty shoe, the inside of the shoe, and then this part right here on the sole, the inside of the sole. So we start with our light flirty flamingo. I'll do one and then you can use that to finish off the rest of them, so we don't have to do that on camera. You can pause it. So first we do a coat of the light flirty flamingo on the shoe leather. And I'm not going to do the heel yet. Now we're going to take the dark flirty flamingo. I'm using the brush tip, and we're going to do part of the shoe, just the toe. This is kind of like a shading technique. And then we're going to go up that far. That's as far as we're going to go. We're going to come back with our light flirty flamingo, kind of fill in where I didn't get with the other dark flirty flamingo, and then I'm going to just move that ink. That's why they're called blends. They blend. And I'm just going to blend that color kind of up. It's lighter at the top than it is at the bottom. That gives it kind of shading. And now I'm going to do that part of the shoe. Inside, same thing. We'll do light petal pink on all of the inside of the leather. And do dark petal pink down here at the bottom. Just a little bit like that. And then we're just going to take our light petal pink again and blend it up. And so we're done with that. And then lastly, we're just going to get our ivory, and we're going to use our brush tip to do the inside here and the heel. Okay, so we're going to do all four of these, And so you can pause the video, do your shoes, and then come back and we'll do our die cutting. Okay, well, I've only colored 4 shoes because I only need 4. I'm going to, this little bit down here, if you feel confident coloring in that sole, that should be ivory too. If you feel confident doing that. Okay, so now we're going to die cut this, and we're going to die cut our little Life is Short by the shoes. And so we'll get our dies out and get that awesome little shoe die, which I think is darling. And then this is the label die that we'll be using for our sentiment. I've got some removable Scotch tape that I like to use. Let me get that even so it's centered. It will fit in there just right, and there's not a lot of room left. Not a lot of wiggle room there, but you can get it. I'm actually going to use 2 pieces of tape. That gives me an idea how it's going to look. And then for my little shoe, I'm going to die cut all of these shoes. I'll start with this one. Just going to line that up and take it over to my die cut machine, and I will die cut it. So I'll die cut all these 4 and this, and you'll do the same, and you might want to pause it, and then we'll meet back. So I'm really glad that I stamped an extra choose, because I ended up having to go back and color one and die cut it, because look what happened. It reminds me of the platform shoes. But so I don't know how. I must have not been paying attention. So that's a good reason to stamp more than you need, so you don't have to go back and stamp again. Okay, so we're going to do our little card now. This is a darling little card. I didn't stamp on the inside because I'm not sure what I'm going to be using this for. Could be birthday, what occasion, so I didn't stamp on the inside. But you're free to stamp whatever you want. If you wanted to do that, this might be the time to stamp it before you do the front. Just go ahead and stamp whatever you're going to stamp on there. So this is what we're using. This is basically, these are the Dress to Impress note cards and envelopes. There's 3 different styles on the front. I think there's 24 altogether. So we're going to put on top of that a piece of petal pink that is 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. But before we do that, we better do the ribbon. So get it. I'm always getting ahead of myself. I don't know why. I have a piece of the DSP from the Best Dressed DSP. I'm just going to use snail 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Again, these are all on my website. Just search search Dress to Impress, the name of the stamp set. Just search the name of the stamp set and you will find what you need. Okay, so now this is going to go, so we had 2 7/8 petal pink, 2 3/4 DSP. This is going to go on front here. Okay, so I put this on by mistake, but I tore it off, and we'll start again. Okay, so I put my paper on. I'm going to measure 1 inch on the back from the bottom. That's going to tell me where to place my ribbon. So I got 1 inch and 1 inch. Now I'm going to put some more snail up above that, even though it's got snail there, put a little extra. Here's my ribbon. Going to wrap it around the front, even sides, even ends. Push that in and push that in. Now I have my ribbon on. Now it's ready to go on the front. I'll put a little snail on the ribbon too to keep it down. And now this is ready to go on the front. And I don't know if I told you, these are Best Dressed note cards and envelopes. And that's going to hide that, so thankfully I don't have to worry about that showing. Okay, now we're good to go. We have our little note card, and it comes with these adorable little envelopes here too. And we need 2 shoes. So just decide the 2 shoes that are going to go on your box and the 2 shoes that you want to put on your card, the front of your card. So the way I did these shoes, to make them look like 2 separate kinds of shoes, because these are all like the right foot shoe. Well, you don't want 2 right foot shoes, so you kind of hide the one shoe behind the back. And I found that it's easier to match up the heels and then kind of just slide it over to the left like that. So match up your heels and then slide it over so that you have that. And I'm just going to put that on with, I think I'll use some glue because I don't want it to show. So I'm just going to put a little bit there. I'm trying to remember what I did. And I put a little bit here by the heel and there. So just 3 little dots. Boom, boom, boom. You could use glue dots. I mean, yeah, you could use glue dots. Problem with glue dots is you don't have any time to like change them so that you can, you know, make them look like 2 different shoes. So that kind of looks like my shoes. So I'm gonna let that dry. I'm gonna go ahead and do these 2 while I got my glue out. So here at the base of the heel and the arch and down here, just to kind of hold these 2 together. Match up the heels, not the heels, but up at the top here where the Achilles heel is, and slide it down till you get that look of 2 different shoes. You got to be quick too because your glue will dry. Okay, so those are going to go on my card, and I'm going to put those on with mini dimensionals. So get my mini dimensionals out. I'm going to put 1 at the top right there, and then 1 down here by the toe, and that's going to hold that in place, and it's going to go over the ribbon like that. I might put 1 more down here. So I got 1, 2, 3, and then that's going to hold those in place. So take the backings off, and I'm just going to put those over that ribbon and make it look like they're just sitting on the ribbon. And there we go. So now we have our little card, adorable little card. And now let's see, next we're going to decorate our box. Get our shoes. Our life is short, so we're going to have our life is short there. You want to make sure you have enough room for your shoes down here at the bottom. And let me get our little frosted, where did it go? I'll have to find it in dimensions. Okay, I need glue dots, and we're almost done, guys. I'll put a glue dot there, twist it off, 1 in the center, twist it off, 1 on the other side and twist it off. So I want this up in the corner, maybe a little more than 1/8, but not 1/4 from the top. And then you want it straight too. That's important. All right, so got it straight. Now I'm going to put my little epoxy droplet on there with my, take your pick tool. It's going to go in this area right here, next to that little scallop. And that'll tell me where to place my shoes, which I'm going to put on with glue dots as well. Put one on the heel, twist, one in the center, twist, one on the toe, and one down here in the arch. Okay, so I got 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That one's poking out. Get in there. And this part is going to go in this little area here. And then you just kind of want them to be somewhat straight. Alright, so now we have that. What else do we need to do? Lastly is our ribbon. Got 2 pieces of ribbon. This is the Petal Pink organdy striped ribbon. This is what it looks like. Really pretty, very versatile. So we got a piece of 8 inches and 12 inches. The 12 inches is for our bow. The 8 inches is for going around our box. Trying to decide which is which. That looks good. So what we're going to do is we want to wrap this around our box. And we want it to be somewhat loose, so you can slide it off, but not so loose that it just basically hangs there. So I'm gonna try to like mark my ribbon with a pencil, not where it won't be seen. That tells me from that mark to the end I can put adhesive, and I'm going to use tear and tape again. You could use snail. Some people use glue dots. It's really whatever you have. But I love tear and tape. It is the bomb. So that shows my age, doesn't it? That actually is from when my kids were little. They used to say that. And okay. So I have my adhesive, and it doesn't show through too badly. And I think I put it on, here we go. The adhesive goes on the upside, facing up. And I'm going to put this in down. Try to put it down straight. And you should be able to slide that. If you can't slide it, you do have the option. You can kind of redo it a few times before it gets like loses its stickiness. And there we go. That's a little bit better. And you might want to go ahead and just make that kind of pretty on the end. Make it like an angle instead of straight. Now we're going to do the ribbon. So you're going to take your 12 inches of ribbon and slide it underneath here. And then you're just going to cross this over like an X. Push this under to make like a little knot. And keep your ends even if you can. That's important. And now we're going to take this, have 2 loops, cross this loop over and push it under. Let me get my loops back. Alright, so we have our loops, cross over and then under and then pull through. Okay, so that's our bow. It's a little big. I'm going to make it smaller. pull this one down underneath here. It doesn't want to come down there, but I'm going to make it. I'm going to tell it what it's going to do. But I like this organdy ribbon. It's cute. It's very pretty. All right, now we're ready to do the tails. This one's still a little long. There. Once we cut off our tails, it'll look better. And we're just going to kind of go straight across like this. And straight across like this. So there's our ribbon. You can puff it up a little bit. That is our project. We are finished. I hope you enjoyed making this with me. Now, I wanted to show you what I did to the inside. This was the one that I had originally done. And this is why you want to leave your ribbon so that you can slide it off and on. I thought it would be cute to put the gift card in there with some tissue paper like what you get with your shoes. And then just open it up and then there's your gift card. I just thought that was a cute idea. A little unique way to give a gift card. And surely appreciated, and such a cute little idea. And not that difficult because, well, you just saw what we did, how we made it. And it really is kind of not hard to make at all. Getting the ribbon back on might be a bit of a trick. There we go. But I think I got a glue dot back there that's kind of messing with it. All right, so there's our boxes. Hope you enjoyed this. Check out my website, www.carolbcrafts.com, to see what current class kit I'm offering. Thanks for watching. Bye now.